All right, everybody, let's go. Oh man, it feels nice to get an overtime win for a change, doesn't it? Oh man, I'm sure I can't be the only one who was sitting there thinking, "Oh no," and having flashbacks to last game. There at the end, as the Rangers tie it with just barely any time left. But Kraken able to get that 3-on-3 win. That practice they did this past week with that long break between games really paid off, and we get to sit here on ECH postgame live and have a dance party presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall. It's such a better feeling. I absolutely love it. This was such an intense game, wasn't it? It was such an intense game. Back and forth hockey, really fun, really tense, really exciting, just constantly on the edge of the couch the whole time, just waiting for that kind of breakthrough moment that you could feel was eventually going to come. The Kraken were getting so many good chances. Shesterkin was just he's the best goaltender in the world, and we saw why tonight. You know what I mean? And oh man, that was so good. Oh, I absolutely loved it. It was a really good night. We'll break it all down and talk about the good, the bad, the no, there really wasn't any ugly tonight as far as I'm concerned. So um I'm just gonna hop over here into chat real quick. Hunter, practice makes perfect, eh? Really does. That little bit of practice, just having a game plan. Wouldn't you know it, having a game plan for overtime paid off. um, yeah, baby, let's go from Coop. Yes, from Walt. I told you we needed 3v3 practice from Coop there. Ferris with the practice makes perfect. Walt with the let's go finally. Uh, yeah, it's what a difference having 3 days off to just do nothing but practice can make, right? Uh, they came out, they had all the stuff that Hextall talked about in the post game, and then over during the practices this week, where he's been talking about, look, 3-on-3, we need to protect the puck, wait, choose our chances a little bit better. I still feel like when they actually get that goal, it's because Schultz just massively steps up and goes all out for it. If Schultz doesn't do that, he's not in the position to collect that puck and shoot that puck and get the game-winning goal. So I still think that there is something to be said for that in overtime. But and they could still, I think, tighten some things up in overtime as far as like practicing controlling the puck and whatnot. But the point is, they got the win, pick up the 2 points. It's a big 2 points for them, kind of right the ship, because it was things were getting a little tough there, little tough, and especially with how things got tied up late. I would have hated for them to have lost in overtime back-to-back games in that fashion. Would have been brutal, and it would have been something, that the snowball trends that I've been talking about, that would have really kind of continued that bad snowball. But this should put an end to that bad snowball. We can start with good stuff from here on out from the Kraken, and really, really pumped and excited about that. As I could tell, many of you are too, because my chat feed is already like a mile and a half long. So going back over to you guys, Martin Jones is a Zen master from Striatic. Martin Jones, fabulous job. I mean, Shesterkin was making some like incredible all-world saves, but the bottom line is Martin Jones is the goaltender walking out of Climate Pledge Arena tonight with the win, isn't he? Right, and so Martin Jones did a great job hanging in there, fighting off pucks, dealing with deflected shots, and being able to make a read on those. He did a good job battling. Defense did a good job for the most part, clearing out space in front of him so he could control rebounds and do all that good stuff. So just another fantastic night from Martin Jones. Just feel like a broken record starting off every post game, like, wow, Martin Jones, he's the man. But the bottom line is he is the man, and he's getting us dubs, and I love it. Oh, I'm so happy about that. Krakenok, nice win. I was worried that Susie was going to cost them a win late for the second game in a row. Let's go. But man, Susie's having a rough game from Cameron there. Yeah, it was, Susie's bouncing back. It's, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. But better game for the Kraken overall, I felt like, and much better game from Susie overall as well. Jay, I was pretty negative going into OT, but we pulled it out. I totally understand where you're coming from, just especially after last game, given the Kraken's history in overtime periods. It's not great. It's not great, but maybe that's turning around. We've practiced now. We've practiced at it one time, and now we're set. That's all it takes. So is Jones the best goalie in Kraken history from Kraken Hawk? I don't think that the Kraken have ever had a goaltender string together a series of games the way Martin Jones has done for this team in the last 10 or so games ever since Grubauer's hurt. Really, he's mean all but one of those starts. The one Calgary game that Joey Decor was able to pick up the win. Otherwise, it's just been Martin Jones in net. And yeah, as a Martin Jones fantasy owner, I can tell you it's 1 to 2 goals max. Like tonight, that's the maximum allowance that he's been giving up is 2 goals against a good team that takes advantage of, being on the power play a couple times, right? And so it's he's been fantastic. Like I said, there's just not enough good things that we can say about Martin Jones right now. There just isn't. And it feels really nice to be in that situation with the goaltender. I got to tell you, it's much better than last season. Let's see. Carson Susie, please stop getting penalties under 3 minutes from Coop there. I know. Michael, Susie didn't cost them this one. Woo. I know. He'll get better. That's just coincidence. I really don't think it was anything. Uh Jake, 3-on-3 looks so much better tonight. It really did. It looked like they had a plan this time, right? And we know that they practiced, and it obviously paid off. Having a plan, having a strategy, having everybody know where everyone else is kind of like supposed to be. Wouldn't you know it? That's like the recipe for success. So happy to see that for sure. Sean with the super chat. Overtime treats for Dogskoy. Studley is stud. Jonesy. Other studs: Schultz, Beniers, McCann, Borgen, Eberle, Yanni, Larson, etc. Duds. Susie's killing me, man. Oh, I know. It's the Susie stuff is what it is. But I still thought he played a pretty solid game overall. And I'm with you. Like, all of those other guys deserve studs, like stud monikers tonight. They were all fantastic. I mean, Beniers had some great looks. McCann, obviously, with that sweet deflection to get us on the scoreboard first. Borgen had another solid game, especially in the defensive zone. Might be the Kraken's best defenseman, I'm telling you. Although Larson's right in there with him, and Larson had a fantastic game. I loved when Larson, they were trying to get things going late at the end of that first period, try to end on a high note, get a little bit of pressure on the Rangers, and obviously it bled over into that second period. Larson shooting for the pads, getting that juicy rebound in front of Shesterkin. The Kraken weren't able to take advantage of it, but I loved that. That was heads up thinking from Larson there. Really liked seeing that one. Eberle continuing things. And then, yeah, multi-goal game for Schultz. Sergeant Pickles right there. Schultz' first career multi-goal game. I know Ebbs made the play, but good for him. It is fantastic for him. And Schultz has had a long and historic career. Like, this isn't just like some schlub who's been hanging around and he finally got his first multi-goal game. He's a legit hockey player who's been a part of a lot of very, very good teams, and he's been a fantastic, playoff defenseman, not playoff defenseman, power play defenseman, power play quarterback. And so for him to get that first multi-goal game in the Kraken sweater for us, picking up that game winner, that is just special. And it's special for him. It's special for us. Really, really like seeing all of that. Dogskoy, come here, Afra. You want a treat? Come here. I know, we've got Sean to thank. Come on, hop up. All right, just gonna go hop up on the bed, and then we'll get Dogskoy treats here. Tammy, don't forget that's game 400 for Yanni 2. Shout out to Gord for that. Yes, as an undrafted player, that's extremely impressive. 400 games is nothing to it's a big deal. It's big enough deal that 400 games is the marker for the Players Association as for receiving a pension. So Yanni Gord will be able to get that pension for the rest of his life after this because he got to 400. Here we go. There you go, Afra. You can have that. Munch. Good girl. Thank you again for the super chat there, Sean. All right, let me scroll back up here in chat a little bit. This dance party is a Broadway show from Alex. Love it. Nathan, so one of you on Twitter teased some new merch coming soon. Yes, we've been working really hard on one design in particular having to do with one of our top players who may or may not be, trying to put together a little bit of a campaign for a certain trophy. So we've been working really, really hard on that. Ran into a couple snags here recently. We're really trying to get it out pre-holidays and everything. So we're working hard. That's kind of all I can say about it right now, unfortunately. But the rest of all the awesome merch, link in the description below, as well as the Patreon. Scroll down here, get another super chat here from Sergeant Pickles. Thank you very much. Q Scooby-Doo mask poll meme. That's not Lauzon, it's Carson Soucy. Oh no. That got me. That was a good one. You got me. Great to see this team recover and beat a goalie like Shesterkin. It is. I love the fact that this Kraken team this year, right? I've been talking about this going back to their first couple games, really. Uh, this team never quits. They don't give up. They just keep going. The pressure is always there for them. Just so happy about that. And we saw it pay off again for them tonight. They didn't have to battle back from being down, but they had to battle back against a goaltender who was playing out of his mind. This is the best goaltender in the world. I think really shouldn't be up for debate at this point. And so they had to battle against him. And then on top of it, he was having like one of the best games I've ever seen a goaltender have. I know the Kraken were really targeting the glove side, as Eddie kept mentioning throughout the broadcast. But the bottom line was he was making some fantastic glove saves. I don't know what they thought they were supposed to be doing, shooting at the glove there. He made some fantastic saves with it. But he was playing out of his mind, and really credit to the Kraken. Both goals, or really kind of all three goals, are deflections essentially, right? Like they never beat him clean. You got the Jared McCann goal up front. You've got the first Schultz goal, which bounced off of a bunch of different things, including Shesterkin himself, or his stick there. And then on that last one, it kind of bounces around, off him, off defender, all that kind of stuff. So credit to the Kraken for just keep coming at him, trying to keep up that pressure, pouring on the pressure at the end of that first period, and then continuing that through that second period, where you put him in a spot where he essentially had to stop 3 straight breakaways. I forget exactly who was involved. I think Beniers had one, Geeky had one, and Sprong had one. I think were the 3 guys who had him. But in a span of probably 2 minutes, he had to stop 3 just clean. 2 were straight up breakaways. The other one was kind of a pseudo breakaway. And that's just all on the Kraken, and that's all on their effort, and just that never give up attitude that they have. And we're seeing it makes these kinds of games happen. It's the only reason you pick up this win, and you pick up an overtime win like this, is because you have that mentality to never give up and just keep fighting. And I'm so proud to be a Kraken fan when the team shows that stuff off. You know what I mean? Like, I'm proud to cover that team, to be tangentially associated with it, because not all teams have that. And I just think that that's something to be proud of. And I hope that they're all proud of it. I really do. All right, let me shoot back over here now, see what else we've got going on. Just another step for this team, things to work on, power play, things that look better over time, and another win against a good team from Greg. Yeah, the power play was not good. I brought it up on the Discord, and I said, the power play is kind of approaching bathroom break territory again. They need to figure out something kind of fresh for the power play. I think that's been clear these last couple games. It's just not what it used to be. They're still picking up goal here or there, but it's not dynamic. The zone entries are a problem again. They were a big problem in this one. Like, there was many times where I forgot we were on a power play, because we were just kind of hanging out in the neutral zone, hanging out in our own zone, trying to get into the offensive zone, and it just wasn't really happening for them. And so I think the power play needs to be looked at and worked on a little bit there. The overtime stuff, like I said, you got a strategy now. Everybody's on the same page. We picked up a win. That's fantastic. So I think that's all good. It's just really that power play needs to be worked on. And the other thing is, I know we got the win, but it feels like these last couple games, scoring's been a lot harder to come by. And I know we played Shesterkin, and I just talked him up a ton, but I think Hackstall needs to look at maybe going back to that lineup from the 5-game winning streak, because I just don't feel that the bottom 6 has been the same. I loved having Sprong back for this one. I thought Sprong played a fantastic game. Like I said, he had a breakaway opportunity. Thought he helped out on the second unit power play some. Um, and he was just kind of generating chances, kind of always in and around the net. Really like to see that from him. But I just feel like the bottom 6 hasn't been the same. That third line especially just kind of feels kind of lost right now. They're not really driving possession. Um, I would like to see them be a little bit more dangerous the way they were before when they had a McCann with them. I just don't feel that Bjorkstrand is kind of I don't know. I just don't feel like he's really a fit to be playing with Yanni Gord right now. It feels like he's a lot less dangerous, Bjorkstrand himself, and I just don't think that his style is matching up with Yanni's and letting Yanni kind of do what he wants to do. So I that's another thing that I would maybe look at if I'm Dave Hackstall is look at kind of moving the lines back to what they were, see if having a couple games away from everybody, and then putting them back together, you get those sparks again of everybody playing together, kind of create that catalyst if you can. But that's just me. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And then obviously it's something I plan on asking RJ when he joins us in just a little bit. Super proud of Jonesy. Yes, Intense Hockey beat the Vesna winner. Such a good game, Brian. It was so good. Let's see. Jay, I'm not superstitious, but I did change out of my new salute to service sweater and hat when it got tied up, changed to the now 6-0 Gord Road sweater. I'm not the most superstitious guy either, Jay, but might need to do that a lot. Like might need to kind of roll with that. Maybe it's not something we want to use up the magic to like all the time. Maybe it's just in it like a break glass in case of an emergency situation like this one. But it's good to know that you've kind of got us covered there because uh that's a pretty big sample size. 6-0 is a pretty big sample size. That's a little beyond coincidence, if you ask me. Lindsay, speaking of like these coincidences and good luck charms and everything, Lindsay, another W with Lindsay in the building. That is right. Let's see. Pretty ballsy move by Gallant pulling the goalie on that power play. Yeah, but that's his style. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that I like about him is that he goes for it there, and I like to see it. It's probably what I would have done if I was a coach, to be perfectly honest. Michael Jones has to be goalie number 1 right now. Contracts be damned. Agreed. I think when Grubauer comes back, I mean, look, you can work Grubauer back in slowly under the guise of, look, he was injured and out for multiple weeks and it's a groin injury and we don't want to overwork him. So you have that kind of built in excuse, if you want to call it that. But the bottom line is Jones has earned the right to kind of be the starter of this team right now. And as we know through the whole Shane Wright situation, Dave Hackstall's going to put the guy in net that he feels like gives him the best chance to win a hockey game. And I can't imagine him thinking that right now anybody but Martin Jones can be that guy for him. So I think Martin Jones's job as the kind of like 1A, number 1, however you want to put it, feels pretty safe to me right now. Let's see. Burakovsky is a great player, but I have noticed that he does have a bad habit of holding onto the puck too long at times, creating turnovers. It's from Kraken Huck. Yes, it's kind of the thing that makes him a great player and the thing that can get him into trouble all at the same time. One of the things I've loved about Burakovsky, and I've brought it up, I think, multiple post-game lives when he's helped create offense through distributing the puck, is the fact that he'll circle the zone with the puck. He'll try to take a defender with him if he can and try to create space for his teammates. And I think that that's something that the Kraken were missing last year. They didn't have somebody who was confident enough of a puck carrier to do that. Someone who could go around and try to create space for themselves or create space for their teammates. And I think that that's a big reason why the Kraken are scoring more goals this year, is because they have guys like Burakovsky and Bjorkstrand, both of which who will do that. But there are times where you're holding onto the puck a little too long. Maybe you had a chance to get rid of it and you didn't take it. And the next thing you know, you're getting backed into a corner and the defense is collapsing in on you and you kind of don't have a way out. And Burakovsky can find himself in those situations sometimes. I thought, yeah, that's kind of just the kind of reality of that situation. It's a double-edged sword. It means you're going to be a more dynamic team out there on the ice when you have guys who can do that. Matty Beniers does this too, right? It's one of those things that can really help create higher, success rate chances, better chances, better looks for you and your team, get guys open. But at the same time, if you hold on to it too long, if you don't pull the trigger when you have that passing lane or that shooting lane, it can it can get bad. And so, and the next thing you know, you're feeding the team going the other way. So it's one of those, as long as he's, successful at like a 2-to-1 ratio, I think the Kraken are probably fine. And to be honest, I think he's successful even more than that. I think it's really probably 3-to-1, 4-to-1 as far as Burakovsky making good plays rather than running into those rough spots. But I like that read by you there, Kraken Hawk. I really, really do. All right. Informed that I got another super chat down here. Again, apologies that these $2 super chats don't register in StreamYard. I'm really, really sorry about that. I feel awful. But thank you so much, Patrick, for the super chat here. Great game. New York fans chill. Susie stop. Jones star. Yeah, I agree with all of that. Were the Rangers fans bad on Twitter? I've been hanging out more on the Discord side of things this last couple weeks or so. But I know Rangers fans. I've been close with some Rangers fans in the past. I know how they can be. And yeah, Jones we've talked about, Susie we've talked about. So awesome. Let's see. Scroll back up a little bit. CR Bud, I didn't think there was any way to beat that team with the goalie 3v3. Happy they proved me wrong. I know. I mean, 3-on-3, we know we've struggled with the 3-on-3 just a little bit. As we've talked about, especially going from last game. But credit to the team, credit to the coaching staff, credit to the players getting their act together on that and saying, hey, we're not going to let that happen again. It's harder than it sounds, and they were able to get it done. Shesterkin, this is from SJ. Shesterkin was so good. Breakout game for Schultz. Wanted to march down. Do something to Susie there when he took those third period penalties. Super happy for the win. I know it's rough, but it's it's just the way it is. It's all right. I think it's coincidence, everybody. I really do. Sergeant Pickles, jet lag at 4 a.m. starts killing me. So right to it, studs. Schultz, great game. Jonesy deserved less than 2. Borgen, very underrated game. Like that you give the shout out there to Borgen. That's kind of the second studs Borgen we've had. Yeah, Borgen is the man. He is ready for more minutes. He really, really is. He's ready for more situations. I almost want to start seeing him on the power play instead of Vince Dunn. I said it. I think Will Borgen, I'd give him a look. Why not? Vince Dunn, another rough night on the power play. Just I don't feel like he clicks with anybody else when it comes to the power play and kind of being that quarterback out there. I'm just not seeing it still from him. And Will Borgen, I mean, he's been playing fantastic defensively. We've talked about the board battles that he can do, that he wins all the time and stuff, but just also his offensive game is underrated too. He knows how to get shots off. He really, really does. We saw it tonight with that tip that Jared McCann gets for that first goal. It comes off of Borgen wanting to shoot the puck and be involved offensively. I would consider it. I'm just saying I'd consider it. Let's see. Ty, you always go 6-on-4 there, especially with their power play being so effective. You risk the open net clears, but they have to get the puck first. Paid off exactly like they wanted. Agreed, Ty, especially with that first unit power play they have. That first unit power play that the Rangers have is brutal. It is brutal. They are so good. So good. Oh, here's the duds from Sergeant Pickles here. Duds, Kraken lose both games while I'm away and win when I get back. Coincidence? I think not. We're getting lots of, like, all of these are way too, like, none of these can be coincidence in and of themselves, right? And then the fact that we pile all these up together, I'm telling you, there's a lot of Kraken magic going around here with everybody. Love to see it, love to hear it. And glad you're back, Sergeant Pickles. I hope you had a fantastic trip going over to Germany and everything. It looked like you're having a lot of fun on Twitter. Really happy that you're able to do that. Actually, and speaking of just our ECH community and the Kraken community, huge shout out to Paul for singing the national anthem tonight for the Hockey Fights Cancer night. Paul recently underwent treatments and everything for throat cancer, and then went out and sung the national anthem. And not just a Kraken fan and supporter and everything, but also an ECH fan and supporter, one of our Patreon supporters and stuff. So wanted to give a huge shout out to Paul for that tonight, because it was very emotional, and it was very, very cool to see, and he did a great job singing the national anthem. So want to give that shout out, because really thought that was special and really cool. There he is down here in chat. You're welcome, Paul. Very, very welcome. Let's see, Brian Kraken, Brian with the super chat. So thank you, Brian. Kraken outshot them, outblocked them, won the face-off battle, and got 3 by Sturkin. 0 for 4 power play. Well, more practice. Like the stream. Thanks, ECH. Thank you, Brian. Yes, everybody, like the stream. And check out Patreon. I was just talking about that. Check that out in the comment section below. I know Brian would want me to throw that in as well. Yeah, so the power play we talked about, they need to figure out something on that power play. Not quite sure what. They just kind of need to readjust. I think, the zone entries were a big problem for them. This was the game that kind of bucked the trend that I had been talking about, which was, hey, Kraken won the face-off battle, and they also won the game. So it is possible. They proved me wrong that is possible. But yeah, it's still, I'm still happy for them. Let's see. Glad everybody's giving Paul some love down there. Let's see. Where was I? Just pick a spot in here somewhere. Good super chat from Paul. Thank you, Dylan. You're very, very welcome, Paul. No, you definitely deserved it. It was an awesome job. Really, truly, you did a fantastic job. Very, very happy. Glad you're doing well as well. My mom's a 2-time cancer survivor too, so I understand everything that goes into it, and just really happy you're doing well, and happy you're able to do that for us. And look, you got me all teared up. And thank you for the super chat. Let's see. It took a year, but the Kraken finally took down the Rangers. Way to go from Dylan JBC Omega. Yes, we're ticking off those check boxes for franchise first wins against all these teams. Very, very good to see. Just got to add some of these ones in division, right? Those are the ones that we really gotta get. Alex, great win against the New York Paper Tigers. I mean, Rangers. Ooh, gonna have to save that one for RJ. We all know how much he loves that phrase when it comes to teams, right? We'll see if maybe you just happen to motivate them all the way to a Stanley Cup win like RJ did with the Avalanche last season. I can call him out. He's not here to defend himself. Let's see. Krakenhawk, I liked in overtime how they utilized Jones as a player by passing to him and slowing things down instead of forcing plays that could have resulted in bad turnovers. Did they pass to him on purpose, or was that just like they just kind of really didn't want to give up control of the puck, so they sent it like careening way down the ice and it happened to go right to him? I am curious about that one, because it looked almost like they were going to just be like way too conservative, and I was like, whoa, like I understand being conservative out there on these power plays, but like that has taken it to the next level. Yeah, no, I think that it works, right? You might as well try to take every advantage you can. If you have a goaltender who can play the puck, someone who can really move the puck well, all of that stuff, someone like a Shesterkin. I don't tend to think of Martin Jones as like a great puck moving goaltender. Maybe he is. Historically, I just don't, I'm like struggling to think of times where I really like kind of clued into it. But if you have a goaltender who can do that, then yes, go ahead, let them play the puck and let you get 3 guys moving up ice and trying to put pressure on the opposing team in that 3-on-3 scenario. I think that that's something that teams should really look at doing when they're in that situation. Well, here we can ask RJ if Martin Jones historically is a good puck moving goaltender, because RJ is ready to join us. So I'm going to hop over and bring him in here real quick. Be right back, everybody. Right. How's it going, RJ?
Good. I'm happy to join you. I was so excited to join this post game live. It was a fun game. It made me nervous at times, but the Kraken pulled it out.
I think we were all there with you. Now, obviously, lots of stuff we want to talk about when it comes to this one, but I have a question for you based on something we were just talking about. Do you consider Martin Jones a good puck moving goaltender?
Uh, Not really. No, no, I
Okay.
do not.
I know that question's coming at you out of
You're
nowhere.
gonna make me criticize Martin Jones on a night like tonight.
No, I'm really not. Because I kind of said the same thing. We were just talking about the idea of them kind of maybe trying to involve him in the 3-on-3 overtime as far as like a passing option. And I said, like, if you have a goaltender who's like really good moving the puck in 3-on-3 overtime, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, it would be, but I don't think that was intentional.
Okay.
Yeah, but one thing I did see actually, the Kraken play the puck back to the goaltender a lot in practice over these last couple days, and it wasn't necessarily play it back to him intentionally, but just throw the puck back there somewhere where you know that you have a guy who's going to be able to get it, whether it's the goalie or you're just going to be the first man back to it. It's part of that regroup that they've been working on. And I mean, if we're going to jump right into the 3-on-3 overtime, so much of what I saw in these last 2 days of practice, I saw out there on the ice in overtime. And it was just amazing to see something that the team had laser focused on for 2 full days of practice, be able to, and have them able to execute it on the ice like the very next day in a game. Part of me was kind of hoping to see overtime in this game just to see it translate, and it sure did.
I was just gonna say, do you think the Kraken let him get to overtime just because they wanted to show off?
I would hope not.
Me too.
But against an Eastern Conference team, I guess you don't really lose anything by doing that.
Yeah, I know. CR Bud coming in here with the super chat. Dylan, I think you can trust RJ with his own set of keys to the chat. I don't know.
And I heard you say something about, saying something while I wasn't here to defend myself. I do listen a little bit before I come on.
That was Afra. I don't know.
Okay, that was Afra. Okay, I'll take it up.
She got that treat in her, and you know how she gets. Just gets all out there. Yes. We were just talking. Someone was talking about the Rangers being a paper tiger, so I had to bring up the Avalanche last year. You know how it is. All right. The other thing I want to talk to you about when it comes to the overtime and how they practiced that so much, and it did look so significantly better, was that, yeah, this was the first time 3-on-3 where I felt like the Kraken actually like had a game plan and everybody was on the same page, and like, wow, that really makes a difference.
It does. I mean, it's just so great to see that, because you did not see that from them 3-on-3 really at any point in the team's history before this. But again, it shows the skill of Dave Haxtell when he can laser focus on a particular area of the game, and we've seen this in other areas too, and clean it up and work on it. And he had full buy-in from the players. I mean, one moment that I keep thinking of in the overtime is from Jared McCann when he had the puck and he was circling around kind of to that spot where he likes to shoot it from in the power play, right along that left face-off dot. And instead of taking the shot, he just peeled off, took it all the way back past the blue line. And it just seemed really indicative of the new approach at 3-on-3. And I asked him about it. I said, does that, kind of result from the new approach? And he said, yeah, definitely. Like, I had to shoot through 2 guys, probably not a good decision. So, you peel back, you live to fight another day.
Yeah. All right. Got Duth in here with a super chat. Martin's better. Clap, 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 clap. So what's been the crowd's like thing for Martin Jones, these last couple games? Because obviously he deserves something.
Yeah, I know. We need to have some kind of chant or something for him. I mean, I from the start when he came to the team, I always thought like a Joe, and it's like kind of sound.
Yeah.
But that hasn't really worked out. Just big cheers for him, though. I mean, the crowd does get into those big saves.
That does work, because we were talking about the idea of now that Grubauer seems kind of near and imminent to return. Martin's kind of staying in. So you obviously got Duthan in here. Martin's better.
Well, better than Shesterkin, I imagine he means.
Oh yeah, potentially. I don't know. It all depends on when we were talking about
I'm
it.
going to read it that way.
All right. Let's see. Just because Terry had just talked about this here in chat, not sure how the Kraken prospects are doing. Detroit, Minnesota have hot prospects. And Ty coming in here. Terry, we do a Patreon prospect chat monthly live with Dylan. Yes, we actually did that last night and it was a lot of fun. So I'm going to pump the Patreon one more time, everybody. Sorry. But Terror of the Deep tier patrons get access to a monthly live chat with me where we go over the prospects. Last night we went over all 4 of the second round picks that the Kraken made this past draft, where they're at, how they're doing. We got to take some look at some video and break that down of all of them. And hey, if you missed it last night, the link is still there to the VOD. You can still go and check out the live stream. And if you decide to become a Patreon member or up your membership to Terror of the Deep tier, you get access to that link in that VOD as well. So it's all there waiting for you if you want it. Just throwing that one out there. Okay, so the other thing, now that the Kraken have kind of worked on 3-on-3 overtime, we've seen that they can win at that. Everything looked pretty good. I think it's time they got to now try to shift focus to the power play, because this power play has, I said it on Discord, RJ, feels like we're back in bathroom break territory.
Well, I mean, it did feel like that at times, certainly. I will say Dave Haxtell would disagree with you. Yeah, he said overall he thought the power play was fine. He said there was only one power play where I really felt like we needed to be better. So he would disagree. I know. Yeah, and especially the shorthanded chances that they gave up. I mean, that's a big problem. They were lucky not to have been made to pay for those. But still, yeah, the power play could use some improvement. And that is one thing. Remember, Dylan, on the deep dive, we talked about things we wanted to see the Kraken work on over those 2 days of practice. And the number one thing that we landed on, and you brought up specifically, was the power play. They did not work on the power play really more than 5 minutes in those 2 practices combined. In fact, I don't even remember seeing any power play practice. Some of it might have been there, but it was not a lot. 3-on-3 was really the focus. That's where they spent their extra time, and you could see the results tonight.
Yeah.
But they worked on the power play a little bit this morning. That was kind of what they did for most of their 9-minute morning skate today. But I'd like to see them work on that a little bit more the next time they get a chance to practice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the 3-on-3, obviously that pays off. Like, you can't criticize that. But
yeah,
if you don't go 0 for 4 on the power play, you might not need to practice that 3-on-3 for overtime because you just win in regulation. So
yep.
that would kind of be my counter there. One of the things I brought up, because it was just they couldn't enter the zone. Like, this felt like the power play from last season. They can't enter the zone. Then once they enter the zone, because it's kind of such an odd rush just to kind of really try to force yourself into that zone. Nobody's really set up where they should be, turn over the puck quickly, and it gets cleared again. And it just reminded me of last year. And then, yes, that comment from Dave Haxtell also reminds me of last year. Got to hear that a lot last year when it came to that power play and stuff. And Duthin confirming that, yes, it's a spin on the Rangers fans going, Igor's better. So that's just my ignorance there. I read too much into it. I apologize. Yeah, one of the things I brought up for the power play is because I felt like Vince Dunn struggled again on the power play tonight. Will Borgen's playing out of his mind. Stick him on the power play. He deserves it. He deserves something. He deserves more ice time. I just don't know how else he would get it.
Right. I mean, he had his second most career ice time ever the game that Alexiak got hurt, and he had to step in because they only had 5 defensemen in that one. But his ice time has kind of gone down the last 2 games after that. I didn't see what exactly it was tonight, but yeah, I think Borgen is just ripe for more opportunities. He's playing really well, and he's got that shot from the point, and he knows where to put it. We've seen that consistently this season where goals have resulted from him putting pucks on net. We get another one tonight. I think, maybe looking to him on the power play. You're saying in that Vince Dunn spot, right? Yeah. So, I think it's something the Kraken should start looking at.
Yeah, I would consider that one. And, they're going to have another kind of decently sized break after this next game on Saturday. Then you don't have another game till Wednesday. So there'll be time that they could spend dedicated to the power play if they so choose. Just throwing that one out there, try to speak that into existence a little bit.
But that's one of the things that I like so much about this team now is that I feel like I'm confident that they're going to work on things that make sense, and they're going to make those right decisions, and they're going to improve in those areas. Another one that I briefly wanted to talk about was putting Daniel Sprong back in the lineup. The last 2 days of practice, Kuhlman was in that spot, and I was thinking, might rather see Sprong there, just given how effective that line has been. And what do you know? This morning they switch it up. Sprong's in the lineup. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is good.
Yeah, and he played really well. Like he had some breakaway opportunities. He was getting open
against most goalies. He puts that in.
So many. I mean, Shesterkin had to make like stop 3 breakaways in like a 2-minute stretch of time. Like, no, can't expect to run into that ever, really. He was fantastic tonight. Like I said, Kraken never beat him clean. None of those none of those 3 shots were clean. Those 2 regulation goals were off of at least 1 deflection, if not more, in the case of that second one. So he is something else completely. Going back to what you were just talking about, though, something else I had floated in chat was I still feel like the offense, and I know they created a bunch of chances and Shesterkin was fantastic, but I still feel like there's a little bit. Some of the spark of this offense has been taken out when they changed the lineup after that 5-game win streak, when they shuffled things around, when all of a sudden Bjorkstrand's down playing with Yanni Gourde. I don't feel like they really match together at all stylistically. I don't feel like Bjorkstrand's been kind of the same player. Kind of just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first game where we've really seen the new lines, I think, start to show some real flaws, particularly that Tanev, Gordon, Bjorkstrand line, where I don't know how well Bjorkstrand fit on that one tonight. I liked what Gordon Tanev were bringing, but it felt like Bjorkstrand was just on a different page. And especially in the first period, that line just got caved in. So, maybe that's something to think about as far as, going forward, maybe some changes made. I think Hackstall has kind of been pretty consistent about sticking with the lines when you're getting wins. But maybe that is something, because I know that he doesn't feel like it's a big change to move like a one winger around on those lines. He downplayed it when it was called a shakeup. So maybe he could see a little tweak like that as being beneficial.
Yeah, because I also feel like, obviously McCann gets the goal and everything to kick things off tonight, but I also feel like McCann doesn't always fit with Benir's style of play either, right? Like McCann kind of wants to be, he's someone who has played center, and so he likes to sometimes drift in the offensive zone more where a center would be, and there are times where it feels like him and Beniers are occupying the same kind of like 5-foot set of space, and you're just like, this doesn't really see that's probably not what you want in the offensive zone. So I feel like there's a little bit of workarounds that there can be there. Sean, wow, who had Kraken 3 points clear of Edmonton and 5 clear of the Flames as we approach Thanksgiving? I certainly wouldn't have thought this. No, but it's fabulous to see. I'm super, super pumped about it. This Kraken team, RJ, is just night and day from last season. They just create offense. Like, it's just so much fun. I love it. Getting wins like this, having all these dance parties. I really, really love it. Let's see. So what did you think about everything towards the end there? Lots of talk about Susie kind of continuing taking penalties late in the game. I think that's just kind of coincidence. None of these felt like, a lack of judgment like the last one, or lack of discipline, I should say. I just thought that it was just stuff that kind of happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it felt that way for me. I mean, the one Susie penalty where he's 200 feet from his own net and, an offensive zone penalty, you hate to see that. And Hackstall basically said as much. You've got to be in control of your stick, your elbow, just everything. You've got to be in control of that. And I think that's kind of a run-of-the-mill penalty where, coaches are not going to like that one. And, but it's not one that we think a whole lot about if the game just before had not happened the way it did. And then the one for the second penalty, the one, where the Rangers tied it, Hackstall mentioned that Susie had just come off the bench. He kind of got caught in a bad spot and the guy went around him. And, that's just a penalty that sometimes you got to take. I really didn't have an issue with that last one. I just felt really bad for him given, the larger situation, at play. And, but Hackstall did also mention too, Susie did a lot of good things tonight.
Yeah, he did.
He made sure to point out the good elements of Susie's game tonight. And I think that was good that, a coach sticking up for his player that definitely needed it at this point. Cause he was asked just point blank, like, are the Susie penalties getting to be a problem? And, he wanted to go to bat for his player there.
Yeah, no, I thought Susie had a nice bounce back game, all things considered, through the rest of it and everything. let's see. The other thing I wanted to ask was, did anybody ask Hackstall or any of the players about kind of the change they had at the end of the first period, where they really started to put a lot of pressure on the Rangers? They were getting a lot of shots off right there at the end. And then that momentum clearly carried over into the second period that the Kraken really dominated for the most part.
Yeah, no one really asked about it in those terms, but one thing that Hackstall did point out, is that they were not happy with how they finished the first period, and they wanted to make an effort to go out there and have a good response in the second, and they were definitely able to do that. So yeah, no, there wasn't that connection made, but I certainly saw it. I mean, in my end of period tweet, I almost put just build off that last shift, make that what you do going forward, and the Kraken absolutely did that.
Yeah, no. So I was just curious. Maybe we'd get oh, so and so happened to stand up and really said this, and it got us all going. And then next thing we know, we know who the.
I will say, because we've had a number of questions about what's the conversation on the bench like at this turning point, or what was the conversation in the locker room like this, and we've never really gotten an answer aside from we know what we got to do, we just got to go out there and play. No one really said anything. That's kind of been the answer every single time. So I don't think we're going to get a whole lot in that regard.
Yeah. Let's see. Just see this comment from Aaron. Dylan and RJ are polar opposites, it seems. I don't know entirely what that's referring to, but
please
not
clarify.
Totally wrong. Not totally wrong. We got a Kitty B Kraken comment here. What happened to that RJ that said Jones was hopelessly broken? Maybe he can at least thank the Sharks for paying his salary.
All right, that's way to keep me honest, Kitty B Kraken. That's a good one. Yeah, I've been proven wrong. I mean, this is as good as Martin Jones has played at any point in his career. He is just looking so solid and locked in. I never thought I would see this Martin Jones again, but I'm so happy that I am. And yeah, thanks to the Sharks for paying some of the salary this year with that buyout money, allowing the Kraken to sign him.
Yeah. Hey, look, I don't think any of us saw this coming, right? I was obviously, higher on him than you were, but I still just thought it was it's a nice stopgap backup move while Drieger's out this year, and that's kind of it, right? But he's turned into somebody who I feel, and we talked about this earlier, he's earned this job. He's earned the job to stay the starter, and you're going to get that excuse of, Grubauer's going to come back and, hey, we got to work him back in slow. He's coming off a groin injury. We don't want to overwork him. But Jones has earned that 1A role in my mind.
He really has. And not to take any credit away from Jones, because he deserves, 100% of all the praise that he's getting. But also I want to give credit to Steve Briere too. He's really been able to put Jones in the right mindset. I see him working with the goalies, Grubauer especially extra today, and I like his approach, and I can tell the goalies like his approach too. The number one thing Jones said, and it might sound like a stock answer, but I really don't think it is just that Steve Briere has reminded him to just go play. When the game is going on, don't worry about what you're working on in practice. Don't worry about the technique of stuff. Just make your reads and just go play. Practice is the time that we work on things. The game, you just go out there and play.
Yeah, no, this is something I wanted to talk about on the next deep dive. It's the idea that goaltending coaches, more than anything, they're just they're just like advisors. They're guys that keep them in the appropriate headspace to be the best that they can be. That's 98% of what their job is, it seems like to me, as far as, when you see players like a Martin Jones or a Jack Campbell was another someone who kind of came to mind, where just totally different performance level based on wherever they're going. So at some point, it's not about the skill set of the player or the physical ability of the player. It really does become just about the mental headspace that they're in. And I think a lot of that credit should go to the goaltending coaches who work with them every day and keep them in that headspace and keep them ready to go and in a spot to perform. Because otherwise, like I said, it's just too random that you have guys like Martin Jones be fantastic in some spots, bad in others. You know what I mean? I just can't think of anything else for it. All right. So another couple super chat here. So we got RJ, Avs, and Jones takes. Got any losing lottery numbers from Sergeant Pickles there?
That's pretty good. I can give you all the losing lottery number. Well, actually, no, that'd be too valuable. I can't give you all of them.
Not all of them. We'll give you one. And then from Aaron here, 5 divisional games upcoming. This next stretch of games will be huge for confidence and cementing a playoff spot. So thank you both for the super chats, and thank you, Aaron, for that fantastic like kind of lead into what I thought we should probably end this on, because I've seen a lot of comments in here about it, and it's going to be a big deal stretch for them, particularly the fact that you're going to have in that stretch 2 games against LA, who you're kind of like floating right around in the standings. You got a chance to go into Vegas and like, hey, maybe we can like, look good against Vegas. That would be fun for a change. And then obviously, you can't sleep on the Ducks or the Sharks. They've proven that when teams do that, they can sneak up on them. So you need to be able to fight against them. But I mean, what are your thoughts going into this stretch of time? I like that there's lots of off time between it, like so that the Kraken can really work on building off of all of these things, build off momentum, get these practices in and work on things. I think that's going to be very beneficial.
Yeah, we've seen the Kraken really be able to leverage that time off, whether it's for practices or just for rest. We've seen them able to use rest to their advantage a lot this season. And I think having it spaced out like that is going to be really valuable, and especially against division opponents. I mean, these are big games, and an area where the Kraken really faltered last year was these division games. And this is a time to kind of right the wrongs from last season in another way. They've done it so often already this season, but it gives them another chance to do so.
Yeah, and I'm just pulling up the standings here real quick. But I think this is their kind of time to prove it, right? Like obviously they've won a bunch of games. They won on the road. They beat up on a bunch of teams that were playoff teams last year. We talked about that through that 5-game win streak. But these divisional matchups are where playoff teams are made and lost, or not proven to be not playoff teams, I'll say. And I think this stretch is gonna do a lot for that. I saw something from Sergeant Pickles in here. I believe it was 3-2 in the next 5 convinces me that we're solidly in the playoff hunt. I would say if you're above 500 through that, I think if they come out of that 4-1, which I think is very possible, that's just like they're playoff bound in my mind.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, just continue that above 500 positive direction.
Yeah. And, the Kings only 2 points ahead of them right now, but they've played 2 more games. That's a big deal. Vegas, some cracks are starting to show for Vegas. They're up to 4 whole losses. So
they lost to San Jose. I mean, that's a problem.
That's what I'm saying. San Jose, Anaheim, Vancouver, all these teams can sneak up on you. So you can't take any of these divisional games for granted. But I still feel like the Kraken are in a good spot. I think the Kraken battle and match up really well against the Kings. I think it'll be interesting to see if the Kraken take the same kind of mindset that they did last time, where they try to out-physical them. I don't know that would be the best idea. But I think they match up well against the Kings. It's just that Vegas game is the one that I want to see them do well against Vegas, RJ. I want to see it so bad.
Just once. Just once.
I'm sick of the Vegas fans coming at us all the time and us just being like, one day, we'll get you one day. I feel like we're like a cartoon villain, just, you know what I mean? Like, I'll get you next time, you pesky kids. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, though. And how awesome is it that we get to look at a schedule that has 5 upcoming divisional games, and we're all excited for it. And we can't wait to watch those games, because we know that the Kraken are going to do well in them and can win all of those games potentially. And you know what I mean? At the very least, not get embarrassed by them the way things were last season.
Yeah, I think it's always important to kind of turn around and take stock of where we're at compared to, maybe where we were at last season at this point, and just enjoy that.
Yeah, and maybe, just maybe, build some rivalries with teams like Vegas, Los Angeles. Yep. I think that would be a lot of fun as well for them. Sean pointing out, feels like playoff hockey already, where every game is significant. Certainly when you're going through a stretch playing divisional games like that all the time, they do feel they are that extra bit of significant. Ty Jones knows LA well, gets my nod for that start. Also, that San Jose game would be fun for him. I mean, What's the latest on group? Because I saw that there's talk of maybe this weekend. So like, can you kind of clarify on where Gru's at maybe?
Yeah, so Grubauer, I guess on a local radio show, said he should be back ready to go by the weekend. So I think that's kind of the latest on his timeline. He's been ramping it up day by day, and I think that makes sense as far as when he could return.
All right, so maybe we see Grubauer on Saturday for that Kings
Yep.
game, and then
Hang on
we'll
a sec.
see. Yeah, go ahead. And then we'll see what they decide to do from there, how he performs and all that. You do get those couple days off before that San Jose game, which I think is going to be really nice for them. Terry, crazy to think Jones was stuck behind Jonathan Quick in LA, and Quick is still the number one there. Quick is kind of ageless. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, he's found just new momentum in his.
You back?
All right, you got me? You back?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Then you're gone again. All right. Ty, do yourself a favor and Google Mark Stone's stick tape job. It'll blow your mind. RJ, if you try it, looks like a mace on the butt end. That's if you try it, I will, from Ty there. So I was just reading from Ty, RJ, about Mark Stone's stick tape job.
Oh yeah, the butt end is huge. It's a giant. Like it is one of the weirdest tape jobs in the league. Maybe the weirdest.
I gotta look it up. Anyway, Ty says if you try it, he will.
I don't know if I can handle that one.
Yeah. Alex saying rather not break Gru in against the Kings. Too important of a game, in my opinion. I don't know, but it also shows that you still believe in him and trust him. That could go a long way for his confidence. I
think he needs that at this point.
I do too. Any other thoughts you've got, RJ, here as we're reaching kind of the end?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to talk about one more thing before we finish up, and that's that it was Hockey Fights Cancer Night, and maybe you've already talked about it before I got here. But I just think it was, a really important night for a lot of people, and I want to shout out, just a couple people, and one being Paul Klein, the guy. He sang the national anthem today, and beloved member of the Seattle hockey community, was the national anthem singer for the Seattle Thunderbirds for a long time. And recently recovered from throat cancer. And, just I got to talk to him yesterday, and just to hear about, how much work he's put in that battle to come back and not just be able to, let alone talk, but to sing, and to sing the national anthem as well as he did tonight. You could tell the crowd was behind him. It was just such an inspirational story. And we're so lucky to have him as a member of the ECH community. I just wanted to shout him out tonight, because just a fantastic story. And congrats and well done tonight, Paul, if you're watching this. There were a lot of very moved people up in the press bridge. So I wanted to shout out Paul. And then I also wanted to shout out your mom, who was a cancer survivor herself. I know all that she's kind of gone through in her road to recovery there. And I also want to thank Ice Kraken, member of the ECH community, for getting her one of the Hockey Fights Cancer, giveaway items. The little beanie they have here. So I know she's going to love it. Thank you for getting that for her.
Yeah.
But I wanted to shout out your mom as well, Dylan.
Yes. No, yeah. We talked about that earlier, and yes, thanks to Ice Kraken for that.
There it is.
She definitely appreciates it. Yeah, there. Those are sweet.
She's going to love it.
She's definitely going to love that, and definitely wear it proudly. We talked about Paul earlier. Paul was in chat.
That's great.
Got to be around, and everybody got to tell him what a great job he did in chat and everything. It was really, really awesome. Gave us a super chat as well. I know he didn't need to, but he did. It was wonderful, and it was so emotional just being here, like through the TV. I can't even imagine what it was like to be in the building for that. So happy just all the way around. Like, it's just a fantastic story. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things that's really, really cool. All right. I think we should probably just leave it on that. It was a nice, happy, special moment, and I think that's a good place to leave it. I did look up the Mark Stone tape job here, and that is ridiculous. I'm looking at it. It's ridiculous. Everybody, definitely recommend you go take a look at it. And yes, shout out to not just Paul and my mom, but all cancer survivors and everybody going through that fight, because it's a hell of a fight, and it's I've seen it close up, and it's not always pretty, and it's certainly not fun. And so just shout out to all them and all the families, that are supporting them through all that too. And then also Queen Anne Beer Hall. Gotta
Yes,
shout them
thanks.
out. Close up with that. Thanks everybody who was with us for this one. Like the stream, supports us on Patreon, all the super chats, definitely appreciated everyone. Had an awesome time with you all once again. Love these dance parties as the bot comes in right here at the end. And yeah, we'll see y'all next time against that Kings on Saturday. Should be a good one. Let's kick off
Right
these
back at it.
divisional games. Let's go. All right, everybody. See you next time.